This is horizontal now. Used to have to turn the phone sideways. So this is Ryder, and we are going to do a hive dive. A hive dive is when you do hive inspections with multiple people. So let me go ahead and flip this around. I have all my stuff set up here. I have some syrup there that I can put in some inner feeders. And I have 4 boxes of drawn out frames, or in this case, some foundation, natural foundation. Got my beekeeper suit. I do not have my gloves. I've already started the smoker. Let's see. The smoker seems to be doing okay. I might add some different stuff to that. This material that I'm using is not smoking that well. Got 5 hives we're going to inspect today, and they're all doing good except for one is a little weak, and we're going to be changing some stuff around here. I will try using my, no, I'm not going to use my earbuds, but I have someone coming. They'll be here shortly, but for right now, I can just use this, prop the phone up on it, pointing at the hives. It actually spins around a little bit, and I want to put a glove on there. That's right. I need something grippier on the bottom of this. This is actually for doing push-ups, but this works pretty good for just holding the camera. There we go. So maybe we'll get started on Rosalie by ourselves. So let me put on my suit. And it's warm, very warm. I should probably take this black t-shirt off, keep myself cooler, but it is an extra layer of protection from the bees. And if I have to run away for a minute, it's because I'm letting my student in to the yard. Let's go ahead, figure out exactly what we're going to do here. And he's here, so we're perfect timing. Let me show you a little something I did. The elastic wore out in this, so I just sewed some new elastic back in. It fits on perfect. Be nice if I had some gloves. All right. Well, it looks like I got one viewer, and I hope you find this entertaining and educational. Pretty much ready to go. So since my student's here, he'll be working the camera. I'm going to go ahead and start on this hive right here. And I got a bowl for propolis, and I got a bowl for wax, and I got my helping hands. I've got everything. We are ready to go. Let me show you what I got here. I got a hive tool. I got a little pan for propolis, a little pan for wax if I scrape off any wax or brood. These are my helping hands. They hang right on the side, and they hold up frames. And then my hive tool. Got a table set up right there. I've got some queen excluders to put in if any of these are going to be set up that way. We're ready to go. As soon as my student Darren gets on his suit, we will get started, folks. This is going to be fun. Feeling better? Oh my gosh. Yep. All righty, folks, here we go. I am just going to put on some gloves to keep my hands clean. I'm going to start by handing the phone to Darren. And, well, I'll let him get his gloves on first. Hopefully we get some more viewers. Didn't give me the option to share that I was going live on Facebook. It's been an update in the app. And one thing I do like is that it stays horizontal for the video. I don't have to turn it sideways, and I can actually prop it up on this.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna pop this open, and I'm gonna stuff in, pull out some of this stuff. This stuff is just not smoking very well. So I got the egg carton in there instead, and that should probably burn a little bit better. Oh, that's great. Those are the glasses that fall off my face. Ooh, I'm warm already. Yeah, this is burning much better. Okay, so we're going to start with our Bella right here. So I am going to give the camera to Darren. This is Darren. And take this off of here. Do the ever important protecting of the face. Come on, baby. And I guess I'll pop these gloves on. Let's see how they do. They're kind of small. And it helps if you put the thumb in the right hole.
There it is. I was waiting for it.
These will at least keep my hands clean. They'll probably break before we're done, but that's okay. And they will not protect me from stings, but they'll at least keep my hands clean. So let's give Bella some smoke. And this is actually just a feeding chamber up here right now. Just sit down here on the ground, and I'm going to go behind and work from behind. Set my lid over here on the table, and the inner cover can go on that as well. And what we got in here is just some wax and honey, and I'm feeding them inside with that. That'll probably go right back in there. Sorry, I heard a crunch. And they're cleaning off all the honey on this, is all they're really doing. So go ahead and take this off of here. Set that down. And I also have an inner feeder in here with syrup in it. So we're going to go ahead and pull this box too. Now I could not find my new paint pens, but that's okay. This is some pollen. So you can see that this hive came from a cutout. And the reason we know that is there's rubber bands on some of these frames. So Bella's doing well. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames with bees on them. So that's not enough to really expand this box. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of these frames, see if we can find a queen in here. That's just a blank. This one is a mess. So this was honeycomb that was taken out of someone's building. And you can see there's been a queen laying eggs on this. So there's some brood, and that's why I left this one in here, even though it's a mess. So there's some brood on there. So this is gonna stay in here. That's why, even though this thing's a mess, I'm leaving it in here until those all hatch out. And there's another blank frame. And then this is another piece of comb that they've just filled up with honey and a ton of pollen. You can see that pollen. Let me turn it this way so the light's shining on it. You can just see all that beautiful multicolored pollen. So I'm gonna put that back in here. And I'm going to put in a blank frame right there next to that. And slide that over, and that'll make up for that extra space. Now I'm gonna go pull this frame out. This has got nothing but some drawn out comb and lots of bees working on it. Not sure what they're doing, if they're filling it up with honey or what it is. Next frame is another one that's an absolute mess. So these frames, they're hooking them together because this was, again, from a cutout. So look at all that brood on there. And I just realized as I'm looking at this that I don't have my readers on, so I can't see. I do not see a queen on there, but I see plenty of brood. So let's see if I can put this one right next to that one. I can. And I'm gonna take just a second to get my readers on. Hopefully they stay on my face when I look down and not fall off. All right, the next one's another one that's a bit of a mess. But that's okay. So this is full of honey. I see a drone bee. I haven't seen any drone cells yet. And there's a ton of pollen in there. And this is why I brought this little pan out here. Going to be cleaning off stuff like that. I think there was one on the other side as well. And that's what I would call wild comb. So I'm actually gonna make sure I get all of that out of there, because that's why they're bonding to the other ones. And I really should take this chunk out, but it's gonna make it so messy. And I'm gonna do it anyways, as I just don't like that setup there. We'll pop this one right down in here, nice and gentle. Let's go to the next one. Now I did not see a queen in here last time. I just saw that brood. See, there's more wild comb, cross comb, and here's a ton of brood. There's lots of places for the queen to hide on this, so we're going to take a minute to look at this over. There's some drone brood in here. I'm going to have to be real careful taking this chunk out, because queen could be hiding in this mess. I do not see her. I haven't seen any queen cups, so that's another indication that there is a queen in here. I'm actually going to just hit this little wild comb with some smoke to get them off of it. Make sure she's not on there. And then I'm going to scrape that chunk of wild comb off. Well, actually, I'm going to try something first. Maybe I can bend it into the frame. There we go. It's a warm enough day. Just bent it in there. Perfect. I'll do the same with this one. Bend it in there. Cool. No critters harmed. You can see a bee with pollen on it right there. So, still haven't spotted a queen. So we go nice and gentle back in here. Feels like these two might be bonded as well. They're bonding. Sorry about that, little girl. This one's heavy. Oh, I just heard a crunch. So we got pollen and honey on this. and lots of nectar. I'm gonna leave that right where it was. Check the last one. So we haven't seen the queen here, but she could be upstairs. We'll find out in just a moment. There's a ton of brood. I bet you she's on this frame. Come on, girl. Show yourself. She doesn't like sunlight, so she will run to the other side or run into these grooves in between. And you can see how these rubber bands have held this comb in here. Flip it over. Do we see her? We do not. But you can see all that beautiful brood on there. So there's definitely a queen in this hive. There's no queen cups, no swarm cups. So when we look at the next box, we're going to look at the side that was right above this, and we're actually going to look at it where it's at. Oh, let me grab my helping hands to set this one on for a second. Before I put this back in, there's some wax on the side that I want to scrape off.
Have you marked the queen in this hive?
No, I don't believe this queen is marked. If she is last year's queen and she's still in here, then she would most likely be pink, because pink is not one of the regular colors, and it means she's either from a swarm or a cutout. So if there was a queen on here, she would be marked with pink. But it's highly probable that this swarm came without a queen, and one was either added or they created one. So she's most likely unmarked. So we're gonna put this back in here nice and gentle. We already have the medium feeder for this one. So I'm gonna take these two blank frames and put them here in the center for her to continue laying brood on. That one's drawn out nicely, so I'll put it right next to the other section, and then this completely blank one right in here. Now I'm gonna give myself a little gap on both ends so that it's easy to work with. This one's already been scraped to propolis last week, so there's no problem there. So we're actually gonna come over to this one and do it right here, because if the queen is up here and I set it on there, she's gonna go down. So I'm gonna pop this pollen back in here. You can see that the bees have been utilizing this pollen. And I'm gonna put that right there. And I don't need these because I'm actually gonna just pull this feeder out, and it's still got some syrup in it, so that will go back in. And it looks like these were frames that were scraped. And I just put them in here. That one wasn't scraped, but these other ones you can see were. That one there. You can see I scraped out the center of it. Okay, so there's no activity up here. So the queen was just hiding from us really good over there. This is just gonna go back in. So they've got syrup, they've got pollen, they've got lots of brood. Let's set this on here a little sideways. And I'm gonna smoke these bees down so I don't crush any of them. Nice and slow, no crunches, we like that. And I think I'm gonna leave this box on here. Continue feeding them. I'm gonna do a quick inspection, make sure she's not up here, and of course she isn't, and she shouldn't be. My glasses fell off, I put them back on, they fell off again. And I'm going to gently stir this up so that they can access the honey in here. And I'm doing it gently because I don't want to trap any bees in the process. There, now they can access more honey. That'll work. So, did you see what I just did? Was that on the camera? So my readers touched my face and I thought there was a bee inside my hive. So I'm gonna put the notches towards the back It's a new thing I'm doing. And I'm gonna slide the top forward, the notches. Actually, I'm gonna slide it backwards. If there's excess moisture in here, it'll wick out the back. So we're done with that hive. Let's move on to Rosalie. Rosalie has a top feeder in her, on her. Smoke first. And they're really going in and out the top, and they have been all winter on this hive. So I'm gonna smoke where they're going in and out. And let's switch sides.
Yep.
So take the outer lid off. And a couple bees unfortunately got into the syrup when I had this open. So let's take that. The inner lid is underneath this. So I'll put the syrup over here and then cover it with the inner lid, and we're less likely to get any activity going into that. Wow, that's propolis down really good. All right, so this is our first box, and I see bees on, looks like 3 of them. So this one's not ready to expand. We want to see bees on 7 of them before we expand, but I'm going to go ahead and top this off. And set it over here, and we'll inspect that second. Let's go into this part here. Some decent activity, but not a lot. And you see I haven't done a thorough inspection on this because there is the Formic Pro from October. So that's tight on that side. This side's got a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to loosen up these 2 frames on the side first. And we'll start by pulling the second frame in. We're less likely to break something if we pull the second frame in. If we try pulling the outer frame first, it can break it. So we may be queenless on this hive. There's a horseshoe pattern. You can see the honey in the upper corners, but there's no brood in there at all. Not a good start. And I got the same thing on this one. There's a queen cup right there. So this is most likely a queenless hive. That's a succession cup. Put that back down in. Now this is actually a drone frame, and this is useful for if you want to eliminate varroa mite in a natural way. She'll lay a bunch of drones on here, and the varroa tend to attack the larger bees first. And then you can take this out with all the drones in it and all the varroa mites and throw it in the freezer, and it kills them all. And then you can feed them to the chickens. That will not be going back in. This hive does not need that. And there's another perfectly blank frame except for a little bit of pollen. Same thing. So this is disappointing. I thought this hive was doing better. The activity I've seen in this hive has shown some good signs, but something's happened over the winter. I'm seeing the exact same thing in all of these. There's a little bit of brood that's not ever going to hatch. Now I could harvest the honey. There's not a lot of it here. Tons of pollen. So that's all these girls have been doing, is collecting pollen and nectar. The remaining ones that were left, tons of pollen. So I could actually, I'm going to take one of these frames out and leave it out. I might put that in a different hive that needs some pollen. And I'm going to leave that open for right now. What I think I'll do is put a syrup feeder in there. And then I may possibly put in some frames of brood from another hive in order to do a split. And I have 2 strong hives over there that might be used for that. But for right now, I'm going to hold off on the syrup. Let's check the top half and see what's going on with this. So you've got a nice gap in this edge, so I'm going to work this over first. Got some drawn out comb. This is freshly drawn out comb. This is what happens when you feed them sugar syrup. They will draw out a ton of comb. So they're doing a good job of that. Let's hope there's something in here. Let's hope for some brood. There she is, and she's a beautiful queen, and that is last year's queen. She is yellow. So that is last year's queen. She's just not laying any eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and set her down in there gently. And there's the brood. Okay, Ryder is very happy. This hive is going back together just the way it is. So we've got a queen in here. I do remember seeing the queen last week. We've got freshly drawn out comb. We've got lots of pollen in here. I am going to switch to an inner feeder on this since there's nothing going on in this bottom at all. It's really interesting that they've been going in and out the top on this hive. And that's why, because they're up top. So let's see, we'll take this. I'm gonna take it back over there and fill it with syrup. I prefer inner feeders to the top feeders. That's enough for now. Leave a little bit for the ants. Yep, that's good. It's more than half full. So we'll pop that right in here. And I think I have enough room to put it in one of those frames. Thank you. Nice to have an extra set of eyes. That's the one that has a lot of pollen on it. Since they have a bunch of pollen in this hive, I'm going to save that one for another one. Oh, look at this. Robbers already. Hive tool. And I knocked it over again.
Yep.
And that's what happens when you drink 2 cups of coffee and a can of Red Bull. So let's go ahead. Oh, I heard a crunch. There we go. So it looks like with this feeder, we can fit in 8 frames. And then the feeder's in there. So it takes up the space of 2 frames. So let's put Mama back on here. They've got their syrup on the inside now. And we don't need to add anything to this. There's only 3 frames in there that have a lot of activity. So I'm going to go ahead and put the inner cover on. I'm going to leave it facing forward since they have been using the entrance on the top here. Actually going to knock these bees down in first. There we go. And see, more bees are getting in this syrup, so I actually want to put this over here and cover it up. Now this is full of honey to give back to the bees, so there's probably going to be a bunch of bees on that very shortly. And do I want to give them natural honey back? No, I'm just going to leave this just like it is. I think this is good. We got a queen. She's laying. I'm going to leave. This is slid forward. You're going to see that they can still use those entrances there on the top. Let's move on to Jasper. So last week, I took a frame out of Carlisle and put it into Jasper. And we're going to see if they've made a queen cup. It's only been a week, so we won't have a queen but it is possible. It is possible that they've made some queen cups. And this one has feeding going on the top. So that's all it is in the top here, is some feeding. So I'm going to take this inner cover, set it there, and I'm going to pull this whole board off that's being used for feeding. So there's some fondant in Jasper, and there's some crushed wax, and then there's some broken comb in here, and that's just giving them extra stuff. And here we go. Oh, we've got some hitting me. They're upset. That means they know they're queenless and they're upset. At least that's what it means to me. Okay. First frame's got nothing but honey and nectar. And there's, it looks like an attempt at a queen cup, but it's not. All right, so this one, just a little bit of honey and drawn out comb. This one's a lot of honey and nectar. There's a queen cup. It's kind of malformed. Lots of pollen. Lots of nectar. Lots of pollen, lots of nectar. That's one thing when a hive loses its queen. They don't need nurse bees. So this is the one I put in here, most likely. Yep, and look at all that brood still hatching out. And there's a brand new queen. Right there, we got a brand new queen already. I can't believe that. In a week and a half, that's impossible. How the heck did that happen? Absolutely beautiful. And she's laying an awesome pattern. We're gonna gently, oh, she just flew. She just flew down in. I'm gonna keep sliding this over because where she went, I don't want to hurt her. Amazing. So that goes in the journal today, that we have a brand new queen in here. Awesome, Jasper's alive again. I do need to get into this one and clean up the propolis, but for right now, I'm just gonna put everything back the way it is. That is amazing. So, not even sure where that queen came from. Don't know.
You don't think they could have come from
It's possible that she was the queen from Carlisle and was on the frame that I put in there. Or she could have moved next door after she went out and mated. Not even sure. This is baffling me.
So was the other one, I mean,
We'll find out in a minute.
Was it big enough for a hive split?
It is. This hive is probably the strongest hive right now.
Okay.
So this hive was a marriage between a cutout that Kimberly did and a swarm that I captured. And both were weak. And I married them by doing a piece of newspaper with some little slits in it. And so that's how we ended up with that. I don't have a lot of space to work in, and that is the hive that I knocked over before. So I am going to do a little work on the front of this. This is the strongest hive. I mean, you can just see the indication right there with all those bees on the front of it. So I'm going to give it some smoke. And I did not put this back together, but I wasn't too concerned about it. Just kind of a little mess here. Get some smoke in there. I don't like to work right in the path like this, but I'm going to for now. So this is just a feeding box, and they've pretty much stripped it all clean. There's some crushed And then this is another feeding box. So this is frames.
Oh boy.
This is frames that have just honey on them. This was a crush again, so I'm gonna just put that on there. And now we're into the real good stuff here. So I'm gonna smoke this down. You know, I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but I'm pretty sure this one had a queen. And it might be in that box now.
Whole bunch on that, on the top.
That's okay, I'm just gonna set it on here. And wow, this almost looks like the beginning of a swarm.
Yeah, they look not happy.
This looks like the beginning of a swarm right now. And it actually may be, I'm almost starting a robbing frenzy here. So here's the fondant that I took out of Jasper, and Carlisle has been utilizing it very well in the last week. They're all over this pollen. I'm going to take this spacer out. And so there you can see it is a frame that was from a cutout. So the top box is the cutout, and the bottom box was the swarm. And this hive may be ready for a split today. So I see bees on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top ones. So we're going to take this off first. Hopefully that table's going to support all this weight. And right here is a little remnants of the newspaper that I used for the marriage. All right. So in here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with bees on them. So we're not at 7 on either one of these. I'm tempted to start a new hive today. See that white stuff there? That's fondant being stored. Fondant. Okay, you got blank, blank. So 2 blank frames here on the end. I'm going to smoke this just a little bit. Yeah, they're not happy about their hive being invaded, but that's okay. They'll get over it. I'm going to scrape this off. Add it to my pan later. Okay. So it looks like this one is half drawn out. Nothing on this side. Look at all that. Bunch of pollen. Bunch of honey, nectar. And there's just a shit ton of brood on here. That is amazing. I mean, just this is the strongest hive I have. That much brood, that's amazing. What's so funny?
I'm getting thumbed.
Thumbed?
They're not happy.
Oh. And again, a shit ton of brood on here. Sorry for my language, folks, but it is what it is. That's a beautiful pattern. You can see that it's all hatched out in the center, and then there's a ring around that. Look at all that green pollen. Let's get this in the light. You see that green pollen in there? Lots of it. Lots of it, just all stacked up. We are not seeing a queen, but there's been a queen here. Gentle, and over we go. What I'm going to start looking for is for signs of eggs, which are really hard to see. Tons of pollen. This is just a beautiful collection. There's a queen cup, and it's a succession cup. So because it's not on the bottom, I'm not going to call it a swarm cup. That is a succession cup. So this hive is on its way to swarming. I'm getting thumbed. And I'm split open, so I'm probably going to get stung, folks. This will be the entertainment factor. There's another queen cup. It's another succession cup. well, we're gonna have to see what's up on top. These next two frames, there's one's blank and one's drawn out. So I'm gonna slide all these back over. I like to slide them all at once if I can. There's not too much friction, because that way less likely to crush a bee like that one was crushed. Put these two blank frames back in here. So we did not see a queen, but we saw a ton of brood. So that's good. We're going to inspect this over here, where it is. Oh, I heard that one. I am going to take out this end frame first because it's nice and loose already. There was a nice gap. I did some cleanup on this last time. So we just got some drawn out comb. Next one looks like a blank that I put in. And they're starting to draw out comb. I might leave those two out. I might put in another inner feeder on this one. They really don't need it, but it does stimulate the drawing out of comb. This is really heavy, full of honey. And there's more honey and there's brood. So I'm going to set that back down for a second. And inspect this in the sunlight. There's brood on this side. There's brood on that side. Looking for another queen. Okay. Wow. This is one healthy queen. So you can see wet larvae in there, you can see drone cells, you can see regular brood. You just can't see a queen yet. Again, more drone cells, tons of drone cells up here. If you look at the size of these are all drawn out for drone. So when you see drones like that, you know that it's mating season, that you know that this hive is getting ready to either swarm or be split. So we're probably going to split this hive today. It would be nice to see the queen in here. And because these are both deep boxes from the marriage, they will just be an easy split. I don't have to do any transferring of anything. Tons and tons of brood. I'm going to actually leave those ladders on the bottom there. Those are most likely for drones to be made in, but they also give the bees an easy up onto the frames from the bottom of the hive. So I see a bunch of larvae around the edge of this. Let me set this down right here. So here's this nice circle. There's some drone brood. And then I see wet larvae right here. Is the sunlight on that enough that you can see the wet larvae in there? So the next ring out from that should be eggs. And this would be an ideal thing for them to make a new queen from, because I do see eggs. Okay, I see eggs. So this box may not go back onto that. This box may go onto a new bottom board, and then we'll give them some syrup. Okay, these two are bonded together. There's a little wild comb. Very interesting. That is the fondant again. Do you see those cells that are white looking? It looks like fondant. And there's no brood on this. Wow, look at all that drawn out comb. Super healthy looking hive. And they are trying to get rid of this rubber band, so I'm actually going to help them. So that's from the cutout. Look at all that, all brand new drawn out comb. Absolutely a beautiful hive. The next one over has some wild comb going on it. Let me pull that out. You know, on second thought, I'm going to leave this alone for one more week. Since I stole from this already and set up Jasper from Carlisle, I'm going to leave this out, or leave this one alone for one more week. Then we'll split that one in another week, and that will be my friend Darren's replacement colony. See if I can move all of these at once. Come on, girls. Oh, I got one of them. Oh well, sorry, honey. They're gonna get mad. In fact, they are mad. They're not gonna get mad, they are mad. Give me just a second. Don't need to smoke that down. I could just go ahead and take this and put it right back on top of it. There's not enough bees on the edges to worry about doing any crushing. Almost got one. Yeah. And I'm going to turn this into a condominium. So we got the two deeps. Wow. She could be up here even. We need to continue to inspect because she could be up here. This could just be bees coming to rob, in which case they'll get kicked out pretty quick. I'll just set that on there for right now. God, this is a strong colony. No, I'm pretty sure this is all honey. I'm just going to check real quick. If I see any activity of egg laying up here. Okay, I need to, nope, that's just leftovers from before, but I did want to check it. So they're mad.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't good. We have one more hive to inspect, folks. I'll take one of these frames, put it in that spot. I'm going to leave the openings on the back side of this. Gently put that on there. This is not going back on. The feeding is not going back on. That's it. We're done with this hive. That stuff's not going back in either. I heard a crunch. That's oh well. Una más. Before this feeding frenzy becomes too much. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take this pan and I'm going to go put it inside the long lane straw where I have a bunch of stuff and it's basically become a feeding chamber, and at least it's not open air. That way, it's less likely to cause a robbing situation by having it over there. So we're going to take a look at the last one, which is Esme. And Esme has a 2-year-old queen in it. She's painted white. And we're going to take a look and see if this hive is ready to split. What I'm most likely going to do is not split her, but I'm going to add another deep to it so that she has 2 deep boxes on it, if there's over 7 frames on each of these 2 boxes here. I will be doing that. So let's start smoking her. Boy, they sure seal these up quick.
I'm gonna have to scoot in a minute.
Come again?
I'm gonna have to skedaddle in a minute.
Okay, yeah, this is the last one.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be in and out of this. All right, so this top one is just a feeder. So we're just going to take that off. I hate these glasses. So that's coming off because it's done with the feeding. They've stripped it all completely out. And we're going to take this box off. And it's painted on here because I just painted this one. And this is that stand that folded on me, so I better be a little more gentle. There we go. Ooh, that's heavy. So there's a lot of honey in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're only at 6. So that's the end of the story. We're done. I want to have it at 7 before I add another box. And it looks like there's about 6 on this one as well. So I'm just going to put this back together. And where's that top feeder? I'm going to put that top feeder on here. So grab that. Where did I put it? Right here. So we didn't add any boxes to anything. We did add an inner feeder to Jasper. We noted that there's a new queen in there. And come on, girls, scootsies. So I'm giving this syrup to them rather than putting the honey back on it because they pretty much stripped that out. And put an inner cover on it. Put the telescoping lid on it, and we are done with hive inspections for today. So I already know I have a 2-year-old queen in here. I didn't see her, but I know there's a queen in here, and this hive should be ready to split by next week. There's a brand new queen in here. Brand new queen. And in here, we saw a queen in here too?
I don't think we did. Not in that one. Whoa, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
The old...
It's a very weak colony, but we did see a queen in here. And she is last year's queen. She was painted white. No, yellow. Hey. Last year she was painted yellow.
Yeah.
Esme is white. I didn't keep looking for her. I don't need to damage her. The fact that they're not up to 7 frames covered, that box is not ready to expand. And then this hive, did we see a queen?
No, we didn't on this one.
Okay. But we saw a lot of brood.
Yes.
And this is the cutout one. So we're done for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from it. And sorry I didn't get stung and entertain you even more. But we're done for today. Big shout out to my buddy Darren here for working the camera so well today. Appreciate that. He has to run right now. And I'm going to spend a few minutes cleaning this up. And then I'm going to go over and do some hive inspections at Marshall's. That most likely I will stream on Facebook because I don't have Wi-Fi over there. Thank you again, Darren. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will put it up on YouTube. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section on YouTube, and I will do my best to answer them. That's it for now. Glove off so I can end the stream. Ryder out.